Welcome to The Story Now, a groundbreaking nationwide initiative aimed at preventing gender-based violence and strengthening safety in schools and communities has been launched across South Africa. Developed in partnership with the Department of Basic Education, the European Union or EU, the UN Children's Fund or UNICEF, and the UN Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization or UNESCO, the initiative will enhance national school safety systems, expand psychosocial support, equip teachers with critical skills, and mobilize communities to protect learners across 4 provinces, initially to further expand. To discuss this, we have on the line Makiba Yamano, Chief of Child Protection at UNICEF, that's the UN Children's Fund. Thank you so much for joining us, Makiba. Good morning.
Good morning, Asanda. Thank you so much for having me.
It's our pleasure. So what inspired the launch of this initiative?
So the initiative came from a shared concern among the stakeholders that schools are increasingly affected by gender-based violence, both physically but also online. And that existing efforts were not always reaching learners early enough or perhaps systematically enough. United Nations Children's Fund, together with UNESCO, have worked for years with South Africa's education system, and what we have consistently heard from learners, teachers, and communities was that there is a need for stronger prevention, clearer reporting pathways, and safer school environments. So we have partnered with European Union, who have generously given us this funding, recognizing also gender equality and school safety are fundamental for their development agenda. So this program builds on our earlier interventions, but goes further by placing schools at the center of prevention, not just responding retrospectively. So it also reflects our shared decision to move upstream, preventing violence before it happens, rather than reaching after harm has occurred.
So how exactly will this program be rolled out? You already mentioned that you'd rather take a more proactive instead of reactive approach, especially in schools. And how will it be rolled out nationally in South Africa?
So there are multiple layers of interventions we are planning. Learners, first and foremost, would be a change agent in this whole program. Learners will receive age-appropriate education on gender equality, respectful relationship building, and violence prevention through existing curriculum. Both the United Nations Agency also support comprehensive sexuality education and life orientation curriculum. Now, teachers and school staff will be also further trained to identify, prevent, and respond to gender-based violence under the National School Safety Framework, which is currently also under the review. So we also support the school management to strengthen reporting and referral mechanism. So when the violence is disclosed, learners can be taken seriously and then supported immediately. We also support the peer-to-peer initiatives through the Representative Council of Learners, where the representatives from the learners are able to be the peer educators to the other students, so they can be part of the solutions rather than being a passive recipients of the curriculum. So while implementation will be started in the selected provinces, hopefully we are also aiming to inform national policy and improve the frameworks and generate evidence that can support scale up across the country.
What about the values or priorities of UNESCO, of UNICEF and the European Union make this an important initiative to take up this fight against gender-based violence within schools, particularly for the protection of children in schools?
For us, the violence undermines everything education is meant to achieve. So a child who does not feel safe cannot even learn or achieve outcomes of education, thrive and reach their potential in future. It also has economic consequences, even for nation. So from evidence, we know childhood violence experience affect them in their adulthood. Girls who experience violence in their childhood can be more likely to be victims of violence when they are growing up, and boys are more likely to become perpetrator of the violence. We feel strongly that we also need to stop this cycle of violence, and we would like to invest early age. We also know that violence does not stop at school gate. So we also prefer the harmful gender norms and sexual harassment or online violence are all interconnected. So we need to address them all together. So we chose education as an entry point, and then making sure there is a school safety systems and there is a community engagement, which could be the only way to achieve this lasting change to break the cycle.
One of the ways the initiative will be rolled out is equipping teachers. So how will the teachers be equipped in terms of the critical skills they need? What are they in order to enhance school safety through this program?
Definitely. So it also needs to be strengthening their responsibilities as well. That there is existing protocols that teachers and school principals and supporting staff has been already familiar with. But we also need to equip them with practical tools, making sure there is a effective referral path. And so the cases are not ignored, mishandled, or silenced. Then also the learners, and then the system has more.
Makiba, are you still there? We do have a network issue there with Makiba. I think you have picked it up that towards the end of our chat, the phone was buffering or cutting there. I don't know if we'll still have time to get a hold of her again. She's Chief of Child Protection at UNICEF. Makiba, are you still there with us? All right, so let's wrap that conversation there then. Unfortunately, or at least we did get a gist of this program that's been launched by UNICEF, the UN Children's Fund, the UN Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO, and this in partnership with the Basic Education Department of South Africa, rolling out a program tackling the issue of preventing gender-based violence in the country and also strengthening safety in schools. I think my final question was going to be around that it's 4 provinces initially that this program has been launched at or being rolled out at. But when we look forward and move to other parts of the country, other provinces, how this will be measured in terms of progress made and at what intervals that will be, so that when it does become rolled out in other provinces in the country, the notable changes are made. And she mentioned also that it's SADC countries that they're starting with, but it will extend to other parts of the continent.